Yo guys, welcome back to another episode of Anime Review. It is Season 3, Episode 5, and today we're reviewing Seven Deadly Sins Season 5. I'm pretty sure they call it like Dragon's Judgment or something, I think. So yeah, let's just get right into this review. Okay, so about Seven Deadly Sins, just in general, it was one of the I wouldn't say it's not one of the first animes that I watched, but during before 2020, I didn't have a huge experience when it came to anime. The only things that I had really watched at that point were like SAO, Blue Exorcist. I had seen this one anime called Copcraft. I don't even think I ever finished that show, but it was weird. I remember watching that. I had seen some Naruto, but yeah, I wasn't like I didn't watch a whole lot of shows at that point. And then once 2020 rolled around and all the quarantine and stuff, I had so much time on my hands that I basically just started watching a lot of stuff, and that's basically that summer, later that summer is when I started anime review, just because I was watching so much stuff at that point that I wanted to talk about it. So, Seven Deadly Sins was one of the first shows that I watched at that point. Probably like Seven Deadly Sins and JoJo were like the first two that I watched during like the quarantine or whatever. So at that point, I know Seven Deadly Sins was the first review that I ever did on the channel. But back then I gave it a way too high of a score. And you know, the more that I watch stuff, the worse that show becomes. It kind of sits in like the same boat as, like, for me, Sword Art Online. It's like one of the, again, like, just somewhat nostalgic, but it's not that good of a show. But Seven Deadly Sins to me just got too ridiculous. I don't know how to really put it, but like, it was sort of cheesy in a way, and it just wasn't that good at first. Like I said, the first season was pretty decent, and at the time it was like the greatest thing I had ever seen, so I ranked it super high. But as time goes on, the worse the show gets, in my opinion. But yeah. So anyway, season 5, to be honest, wasn't as terrible as I thought. I just wanted to watch. I was debating even watching the 5th season when it came out, just because I had such low expectations. But I figured, you know, I've already watched all of the rest of it, so I might as well finish it up. I think that this is the last season. I think there might be one more season coming out, but I think this is the last season because, yeah, I don't really know what else they could do. At least, like, to fill in another season's worth. Unless they do, to be honest, they should probably do what they did in season 2 and just make it, like, a few episodes. Like, not a lot at all. I think season 2 was, like, 6 episodes or 4 episodes or something. They should do that for, like, a season 6, just to wrap everything up. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be quite honest with you. Like, it was definitely had that, like, Seven Deadly Sins kind of weird, I guess the charm of Seven Deadly Sins, but I don't know what the feeling I get is when I watch Seven Deadly Sins. It's like, it's charming, but at the same time, it's kind of cheesy, and I'm just like, can we get this over with? But yeah, to be honest, a lot of, like, crazy plot twists sort of happened that season. And one thing I like about Seven Deadly Sins that I do think the show does well is how they tie things together. Like, they'll introduce a character or something before, and then, like, later on they'll tie it into something other that they did. Like, for example, the stuff that happened with Esterosa, him being one of the actually one of the four archangels. I thought that was ridiculous, and that was like pretty cool, but like I was kind of surprised by how well they tied that in. And I guess it's something that kind of went over before, but with Gother, how Gother was one of the 10 Commandments, but he made the doll. That turned out to be one of the 7 deadly sins, but Gother's wife had been killed, and that's who he made the doll Gother after. Like how they tied that in and Gother's backstory, I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if they did that in this season. I think they did his backstory in the previous season, but they did mention some stuff with like Gother changing everybody's memories and stuff. So I like how the plot, you think it's a certain way, but then they introduce something that makes everything that previously didn't make much sense make a whole lot of sense. So I think they do that pretty well, and that was probably one of the better things about this season. And probably the most entertaining part about this season was Bon and Meliodas. So basically, Meliodas has been consumed by rage pretty much, and he's like a villain at this point. And he goes into like this cocoon, and he's going to absorb all of the 10 Commandments to become the Demon King. So what ends up happening is Bon has to travel into purgatory in order to save Meliodas. And once they meet up, they also have they meet Hawk's long lost brother, which I thought was really cool. How they tie in like a little bit of Hawk backstory. Just their interactions between Meliodas and Bon made this season, it's what made it decent, I guess. Otherwise, I don't know if I would say it's been that good. But just that whole time that they were in purgatory with each other was golden, to be quite honest with you. I love the interactions between Bon and Meliodas, how they're always like competitive, they're like rivals, but they're friends, like they're best friends and stuff. And just how like I loved there was like sort of like a tournament arc in a previous season, and they were just beating the crap out of each other, but they're both like immortal, so it was really funny. But yeah, so Bon in purgatory, they fought the Demon King. That was also really cool. And then what ends up happening, I had a yawn there. What ends up happening is a bit of a spoiler warning right here. When Meliodas absorbs all of the 10 Commandments, he becomes the Demon King, but not in the way that they thought. It was the Demon King himself tricked everybody and was like, oh yeah, if you give Meliodas all the commandments, he can have power equal to mine, and then, or even greater than mine, and then become the Demon King. But what ends up happening is, since the 10 Commandments are fractions of the Demon King himself, when Meliodas absorbs all of them, basically Meliodas is possessed by the Demon King himself. So the Demon King is using Meliodas as a vessel at that point, and he becomes a total boss. Like, he's got these weird arm wing things, and it's really cool, and he has to fight with Bon. I'm pretty sure he faces off against the entire 7 deadly sins, but he faces off against Bon at the end, which was really cool. Yeah, but one of the oh yeah, I'm just checking on my notes. One thing that I always hated about this show was the character King. King is so annoying. I hate his character so much. He's just a brat. And I'm not a fan of King. Like, at first, when he was first introduced, he was such a D-bag when it came to, like, Elaine and stuff. And then, even later on, once he was, like, a decent person, I still hated his character. But he does get awakened or whatever in this, and he grows, like, his wings and stuff, and he becomes a Chad, I tell you. That was one thing I thought was really funny. Like, when he got, like, the pompadour, or it wasn't really a pompadour, but when his hair was all up and he had the tux, not a tux, I guess it was a tux, I don't know, it was like a suit and his giant wings, he became a total Chad, which was really cool. And of course, Seven Deadly Sins, at least within their own universe, these characters are so ridiculously powerful. Like, the power scale is crazy. Just King's abilities are insane. Meliodas and Escanor, they're just so powerful, and they're like fighting each other and just destroying everything around them. It's ridiculous. So that never changes in the Seven Deadly Sins. And yeah, overall, I was just talking about the things I didn't like, or I did like. But probably, well, the thing that I didn't like about this season is the finale. They didn't wrap things up well at all. So at the end, I heard that they're making a Seven Deadly Sins spin-off, which is like the next generation of Seven Deadly Sins, pretty much. So it has the child of Meliodas and Elizabeth, and then there's also, I think, Bon and Elaine's kid, and then maybe King and Diane. I don't remember exactly, but I know the main character is supposed to be the child of Meliodas and Elizabeth. But they didn't do anything about that at all. Like, they didn't wrap it up with like, oh, Meliodas and Elizabeth get married and have a kid or something. They just kind of like left it there, and that's why I'm hoping that they do a season 6 that was similar to season 2, where it's just like a few episodes just to wrap everything up. But at the moment, they just left it wide open. So that was one thing I didn't like. It was not a great ending to that season. But yeah, overall, it wasn't terrible. It was better, much better than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, I think, I can't remember how many episodes there were. I don't think there was a full 24. It may have only been 12 episodes. I think, maybe. I can't remember, but yeah, overall, 7.3 out of 10. That's what I'm going to give it for now. Again, we do the thing at the end of the season, so we'll adjust some scores. But yeah, 7.3 out of 10. It wasn't terrible. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I know probably tomorrow, what's today, Wednesday? Yeah, tomorrow we'll probably do a video, another anime review. I'm going to be reviewing Tokyo Ghoul, seasons 1 and 2, and then I also have another video coming out at some point. It's going to be a ReZero season 1 review, and then we're going to do a manga review for Rent-A-Girlfriend Volume 1. So stay tuned for those videos coming out this week, or even beginning of next week. We'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.